We already discussed how decimals and fractions are related to one another, but we can also look at converting between the two. We'll start off by taking some decimal values and converting these into fractions. We already know that we can take any whole number or any integer and write it as a fraction over 1. We can do that with a decimal value as well, because dividing by 1 doesn't change the value of a number, but we don't really intermix decimals inside fractions. This is just a starting point. Now what we need to do is look at converting this number in the numerator into an integer. In this case, a whole number, since it'll be positive. To do that, we shift this decimal 2 places to the right. If we do that in the numerator, we have to do that in the denominator as well. So we shift that decimal place to the right once, and we'll put in a placeholder 0, and then a second time, and put in another placeholder 0. This gives us 148 over 100. And if you think about it, what we really did here was multiply both the top and bottom by 100, since we shifted the decimal place to the right 2 times. Now that we've gotten rid of the decimal, we just need to look at reducing our fraction if that's possible. In this case, both our values are divisible by 2. This would leave us with 74 over 50. Both of those values are again divisible by 2. So this will reduce down to 37 over 25. If we're doing the same thing but with a negative value, the only thing that changes is that we maintain that negative with either the numerator, the denominator, or out in front of the fraction. We want to avoid applying the negative sign to both values though, to both the numerator and denominator. So we'll write this as negative 2.5 over 1. And then we'll look at shifting that decimal place in the numerator until we have an integer value, which in this case will be negative 25. In the numerator, we had to shift the decimal place once, so we'll shift the decimal place once in the denominator as well, leaving us with negative 25 over 10. In this case, both of these values are divisible by 5, so we'll be left with negative 5 over 2 after we finish converting that decimal value into a fraction. Now we can work that the opposite way. We can start with a fraction and convert that into a decimal. What we would do is literally just take 3 and divide it by 5, so we could carry out that long division process manually, or we could literally just type into a calculator 3 divided by 5 and get that decimal representation for that number. 3/5, or 3 divided by 5, would be 0.6. And then in part B, we have a negative sign. My recommendation would be to avoid that negative sign and just look at taking 8 divided by 9, which comes out to be 0.88888888. Repeating, my calculator eventually rounds that to 9, but that just keeps going. So we could round this to, say, 3 decimal places. And because we had a negative sign in the original fraction, that carries over to our final answer, giving us approximately negative 0.889.